Hello, hello, hello in chat. Party people. But yeah, that's why it sucks. Like even with just Corona, it's like that would be something that would be so easy just to get together and figure it out in 30 minutes at each other's houses, you know?
Send me the link to the templates and I'll
I'll
look
just,
at that
you know,
after
I'll
the
do is I'll just, I'll add you to the chat.
show. Oh, perfect.
All right. I am ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Well, you know what? I'm not ready. Let me pull up this last thing.
Using Wuskin today?
No. Got methods.
Oh,
Methods.
forgot about that.
Topical.
Lovely.
Topical. All right. You ready?
Yep.
Welcome back to the Centering Esports podcast presented by Alt. This is episode 257. And yes, this is going to be the best episode ever because CDL Toronto went exactly as everyone thought it was going to. So nothing really exciting happened there. But we'll discuss it just because we have to. It is Monday, so you have Yikes of the Week. And Joe Rogan has some hot takes about video games and gaming. So we're going to discuss that just much like everyone else's. And of course, we'll end the show with some e-news for you. Got a little bit of e-news to get to. But before we do that, got to tell you about Alt. Alt is and should be your number one destination for esports apparel. Had a listener, Anuj, hit us up on Twitter saying that he won some money off Toronto winning in the CDL and said he might just drop into altesports.com and pick himself up some new swag, spice up his wardrobe. And I'm like, you know what better way to celebrate a victory, to celebrate a good time by looking good. And Alt can do that for you. They have, first off, they are the official partner with the CDL and Overwatch League. So perfect there. They've teamed up with LA Gladiators and just dropped their LA Gladiators capsule with a fire sweater. Again, I'm not in fashion. I'm not going to tell Alt how to do it because everyone does this. Taking pictures of hoodies and sweaters in the middle of summer outside. It's a hot thing. It's hot. It's popular. People do it. So there's that, unless it's just maybe cold on the West Coast still. I don't know. We're in Texas. It's hot. But Alt pulled it off. So go check that out. Get your Los Angeles sweaters there and your Toronto Ultra and everything you need to get ready for champs. That is altesports.com.
My name is Anthony Method-Zenny. I play for the Toronto Ultra. I go by the name Chef Tony on weekends, and you are watching the Center Ring podcast.
Okay, so let's start.
What is up, everyone? Hello. Hello and welcome back to another edition of The Center Ring, a.k.a. TCR, a.k.a. your favorite esports podcast. This is episode 257, coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The date is July 26, 2020. The time, 8:44 p.m. Central. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring if you're not doing so already. Our website, tcr.gg, has got everything else you need there, including a Discord link. Be a part of the conversation. If you were, did a little impromptu watch party yesterday with some listeners for the CDL. Unplanned, because that's just how we do things here. So you would have been a part of it if you were in our Discord, which you can find the link in our Twitter profile and our website, tcr.gg. My name is Tim. Hello. I'll be your captain for this journey into esports, this waste of a time show. And alongside me, as always, my partner, my first mate, my best friend, my brown friend. It's Anuj. What's up?
Tim, I love wasting time with you.
Listen, whatever little time we have, I would love to waste it with you. If I have to waste my time with anyone, I'm glad it's with you.
I treasure these moments. These are
Really?
good moments.
Really do. Really do. It's gonna be one hell of a show, Anuj. As I said, Toronto happened exactly like we thought, and I mean, really, I don't even know why we're gonna discuss it.
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I'm fairly close in my thought process, like in what I was verbalizing, not in what I picked, but there was like a lot of things that were happening, and I was like, man, kind of saw some of this coming up. It's what the whole
you called
season
your shot.
was.
I mean, we'll give you credit. We'll get into more details here when we discuss it. I do have, as I like to start every show, with a little bit of just discussion, and then we can get into the juice of esports. I have a little real life situation that I need to cover with you and the listeners to find out if I'm the asshole. Okay? Which I probably have this conversation way too many times.
Yes.
I have to ask other people this way too many times, so the answer is probably yes. But here's the sitch, okay? I live right near a grocery store, okay? Where I get my groceries. So the other day, wife said, "Hey, can you go grocery shopping while I watch the kid?" Pff, absolutely. Don't have to ask me twice nowadays to get out of the house. I will do it. So I go there. As I get there, there's a gentleman, I would say probably 20s, maybe mid-20s, I would say. And he's playing the violin in the parking lot. Beautiful job, right? And then he has a sign saying, please help pay rent. Like, obviously, probably lost his job, much like everybody. A lot of people this time. Funds are tight, things like that. So he's doing his craft. He's playing the violin for donations. Well, at that time, Anuj, I only had a 20 and a 50 in my wallet.
Of course you did.
I only roll big bills. Well, I want to help him pay his rent. I don't want to pay his rent. So I'm like, I can't give you a 50. Like, that's just not going to happen.
No.
And even a 20, I feel is like, dude, I got a mouth.
That's a high tip.
Like, I have a kid now.
People
like,
usually put a couple bucks, is
Yeah.
kind of what you throw in
Yeah.
there. Okay.
There was one time to a homeless man. I thought I gave him a 5. I accidentally gave him a 50.
That's
And
a little devastating. Oh, you helped him out.
I did because I realized it way too late. And like, I could have turned around and been like, oh, but I was like, you can't ask for that back.
No.
Like,
No,
you know what, bro? You got
you made the dude's day.
you got my 50. I'll take the L and you enjoy it. Anyway, so back onto my current topic. My current situation is I go into the store. I'm like, all right, maybe I can break up this money. So I break it down. I was going to give him like 10, 15 bucks.
Okay.
Because I'm a softie. I'm a saint. Okay. I feel like $10, $15 is pretty good. He was not playing the violin though when I got out. And he was on his cell phone. Probably just taking a break, but timing is everything in life. So I didn't give him the money and I went home.
I mean, were you expecting like an 8-hour orchestra type event? Like,
If you have a dancing monkey, I want the monkey to dance. That's my point. If
what
your
you should have
craft
done. So yes, to answer your question, slightly like he doesn't know that you were an asshole right there because he had no idea you were going to donate to begin with.
None
right?
at all.
Internally, though, you knew you wanted to give this guy 15 bucks because what you heard, you enjoyed.
Because it was, yes. And it's like the good
It
of
was
your
pleasant.
heart, right? It's
Yeah,
about
and
the
you,
donation.
and you felt good in that moment. But it's your money at the end of the day, too. Like, you can do what you want. But is it an asshole move? Not to him, no, because he has no idea. Internally, I can see why you're second guessing yourself. I can see why there's a struggle.
I got in the car and I was like, I should just give him the money. But I was like, but no, I'm a man of principles. The principle is you have a violin and I want you to be playing it when I give you the money.
You should have gone from 15 to 5.
I should have just stared at him.
I was going to give
like,
him 15. Not playing anything. Not happy at this moment. Here's 5.
Yeah, Busey does say in Twitch chat, I should have just asked for his Venmo. That's actually probably solid because I'm sure on the I'm blind,
good.
Like I can't read at all, so there could have been a Venmo thing on his sign, but I can't read that far. So, but that I'm struggling with it. I am struggling with it and that was like 4 days ago, and I'm still struggling with it to this very night. Don't know if I
Ben
should.
know he's paying a cell phone bill.
Like I said,
That's not too
I
bad.
feel like I'm a man of principle here, and if you're gonna be a street entertainer, I want you to entertain me to get your dollar. You can't just be sitting on your cell phone. The timing is everything, bud.
Timing, in his case, it definitely was.
Yeah. So there it is. Maybe next time. Maybe next time when I go to Kroger, he'll be playing, and I'll make it up. I'll make good. But until then, I hope he pays his rent. So there's that. There's that for you. But you know who could also help pay his rent, Anuj? That's Toronto. Do we want to talk CDL first, or do we want to get into Yikes of the Week?
No, let's go CDL. It's hot off the press.
Because really, I'm anxious because this just ended, 30, 40 minutes ago, maybe an hour ago. So I'm excited. I made a crucial error, though. So as a father, you got to pick and choose when to take care of the child, like when it's your turn to do things and when it's not. Well, I chose to watch the Dallas match because I was like, I watched the semis is what I did. And then when the finals rolled around, I was like, it's FaZe Toronto. Yeah, I'm going to do my chores now. Like, I'll see you, CDL. I know the story. I know how this one's going. I'm going to go do my running around now. And sure enough, I'm looking at my phone while doing my running around, and I'm like, hold up. What the hell's happening here? What is going on?
It's the Atlanta effect. It's like the same thing that we've talked about now for a couple of weeks. The only difference here was they weren't the team to knock Dallas out, but and I think almost as a mental block, they know that their biggest roadblock is now out of the way going into the finals. And we've seen them in the finals. I mean, it feels like every time they're competing at this point, they're making at least a playoff run.
Mm-hmm.
But they've let some of these games slip. Like they've done this a handful of times this year. This is why they don't have 3, 4, 5 championships this year, is because they've let it slip after the semis. And I think they've become a little complacent there. But this has been Chicago's or Atlanta's story all year. And, this would be the concerning. Everything that could be concerning for the top teams happened in this event, right? Atlanta didn't come out with the win after making the finals.
This was supposed to answer a lot of questions. And I feel like all this weekend did was create more.
So many. Worst case scenario for Dallas this weekend, in my mind. The Dallas Atlanta matchup. What did we want to see from them? We wanted to see them take a win against Atlanta going into champs weekend because they've had a tough time with them. They get 3-0'd. You get 3-0'd against your rival, top 2 seeds in the league, and they spank you, and that's your last taste against them. Right? Then if you're Dallas, you don't get redemption in the semifinals match, not against Atlanta, obviously, but against the eventual winners. And losing to Toronto, although they really could have taken that series, there were 2 games, I think it was 2 hard points, that they really just let slip out of their hands. Map 1, and then I think the final map.
You think that's a little bit they got caught looking ahead?
No, because again, as we said, you always got to keep an eye out for that home team.
And you did call that out. I'm giving you credit. And I think anyone who listens to this show knows that you have been saying all the while is whoever the home team is, always give them a shot. Like never count them out.
There's always just a little bit of extra motivation, right? And sometimes that's all it takes. Without fans there, you have to find different ways to spark that energy, right? When you're not in a stadium and you have 10,000 people or 1,500 people rooting for you, however many are there, you gotta find ways to motivate yourself. And sometimes it's just that little extra. Hey, it's a home event. This is our home stand. Let's hold ground, right? And everybody has done it this year, not winning it, but kind of making a finals run, it feels like, for the most part. So even the Gladiators, I think, won a couple of games in their home stand, and they've had a tough time all year. So Toronto looked fantastic, though. I mean, this is a great high to end the season on for them.
And I think that's where it ends, right? I saw some people on Twitter trying to be like, the hottest team going into champs. let's pump the brakes with that talk for a second. This was a very nice cherry on top, right? You finished off the season very strong. You are, I think, one of the biggest surprises, right, of the season. Like, this is a nutty way to think about ending the CDL, which is crazy that the first season of the CDL is already done. Like, that's mind-blowing in itself. But I think this is probably where it stops, because looking ahead, I think, and I think this started with last week too, I think for a lot of these top teams, as much as they're not going to admit it, I think they're just looking forward to champs. Like when the positions were locked as being as far as like a top seed goes, I think a lot of them were kind of like, okay, we can kind of slow down a little bit. And that's my only explanation for the way some of these guys ended this weekend.
Look, like for a team like Toronto this weekend, they've jumped to 7th place in the standings, right? They bumped Minnesota.
They were in the bottom 4.
They were in the bottom 4. The goal was to get top 8, and now they've ended up jumping Minnesota into 7th. From where they were to where they are now, it's doubled their prize pool money if they just hold pat at 7th in the league, right? Only one team's coming out a winner, but a lot of these guys can make a hefty, lump sum in one weekend of playing just by jumping a couple of spots. And it's such a big help for a team like Toronto to not be fighting out of that losers bracket, and to now be kind of there in the middle of the pack and get a somewhat comfortable matchup for yourself, right? It's going to be against a lower tier team to start off with. So for them, this is a huge weekend. For the top teams, you really wanted first or second. It was important to get top 2. It really didn't matter so much which one you were, although you wanted the bragging rights to say you're number 1. But the goal was to get top 2, and Chicago let that really slip away easily. And
what's been the one thing I've said about Chicago all season long? They cannot keep their composure if their life depended on it. I mean, it's like I said, I was in Discord talking with people watching that match against, who was it that they were eliminated by?
Toronto.
Oh, of course. Yeah, Toronto.
Oh, no. They lost to Optic was their last matchup.
Okay, so yeah. Okay, so Chicago and Optic. And I was telling, before that match went in, I was like, watch. If they lose one, it's done. If they lose one map, it is done for Chicago. Because it's been that theme all year long, even before Pristini. If they lose, they don't know how to shake it. They don't know how to make the in-game or mid-map or in-between map adjustments that the other top teams do. Like, they have the talent. They have the capability of it. They just do not know how to keep their composure and regroup and adjust at all.
Yeah, if you're Chicago, your only win this weekend comes against a Seattle team that's been, sliding for the last 10 weeks, it feels like. You had a tough outing. Like, this is the worst possible way Chicago could have ended the season for themselves, because they've kind of had this same storyline as you were talking about all year. They've not won enough. They have a couple of championships under them for the year, but as a whole, when they've been eliminated, it always feels like they're just getting out against teams that are considered lower to bottom tier. And to do it again in this event, again against Toronto, against Optic, like, these are teams that you should be beating. We're giving those teams credit. Like, I think Mac mentioned Optic as a team to watch. If I'm not mistaken,
it was Wuskin. Wuskin said that his sleeper pick would be Optic, and I kind of laughed at him, but I mean, maybe he knows something we don't as far as they have the potential. Now, he did say if they care, and we saw yet again another what I'm going to call tantrum by Slasher. When they were eliminated by FaZe just today, right? They got 3-0'd by FaZe. Was that today?
Yeah,
it was. Man. Yeah, that was today.
Yeah, today.
It's been a long Sunday, folks. Long Sunday. When they got eliminated, of course, Slasher does what Slasher do, and he went on Twitter to express his angst about the game and about the league. At this point, if I was the league, I think I'd be like, buddy, like we're gonna fine you or we're gonna suspend you at this point. Like, and it's gonna carry over into either champs or next season because at there's a common theme that I've noticed, and it's the players and the teams that are crying the most about this game or the league just also happen to be like in the bottom 4 of the league. Like, it just so happens to be that the teams that had players early retire or leave their team or bitch or whatever, Optic, Seattle, and Gorillas, all teams in the bottom 4, all teams that have performed miserably below their expectation. And for whatever reason, it's like, I get it. I get the game is not perfect. I get the spawns are messed up. But you have 9 other teams in the league that are able to at least work with it. And you know what? You know, you're a COD pro. This isn't the first time the game's mixed up to where you don't like it. Like, act like you've been here before and adjust. You've played a new game every year for the last, 10 years? Like, you know the drill. You know how it goes. To sit here and try to be like, this is a joke and blah, blah, blah. Buddy, sometimes it's just not your game. And, like, for Slasher, you really haven't been, like, top tier for a little bit now.
No, he won last year. Like,
I'm just talking about, like, at all in this game is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Like, in this game, they've never been, like, competitive.
No.
You know, like, I mean, Slashers used to winning is the thing. And then to finally, like, hey, here's a game that your team's not good at, they're showing they don't know how to handle that really well. You know, like these guys like Octane, another guy that's like been a proven winner. They've been incredibly vocal. And sometimes that needs to happen, right? To push the developers in the right direction. Like it has to be people with enough clout to do it, but there's also a way to do it where you're being constructive with your criticism, right? There's other things where, like the map veto, you can't do much about the map veto setup the way it currently is. Sometimes a team is going to get screwed a little bit with the server location, right?
Yeah.
What you could do is maybe take the veto out in that situation, and maybe an admin decides like the best location based on a test ping or something, but like they're not being overly constructive. Like Slasher's tweets come out as just like hateful tweets towards the game.
It sounds like a sore loser. He sounds like a sore loser is what it sounds like.
You do, for sure. And that's like unfortunate because like I said, he has the pull to, like, if he was constructive, they would probably listen to some of his like input. Because I'm sure it's valuable, but the way he's going about it looks bad, and unfortunately, it has come from the bottom tier teams. Like everybody's playing with the same bullshit, guys. Like everybody's having to deal with it. So what you do in those situations is be the best of the worst situation, right? Like go win yourself some money. You got a lot on the line to still be like thankful for here after Champs Weekend. Like Slasher could have hated this game completely. I guarantee you his tone will be different if they come out winning Champs. Right? Like if Optic comes out in first place, all of a sudden, well, it wasn't that bad. Like there's parts of the games that we like. There's other parts, like his tone would completely change. So like go fight for it in a couple of weeks. Play like you have something on the line because you do. And then there's got to be a sense of professionalism. Like we talked about Call of Duty going from what was considered like an amateur esport in terms of it was run by third-party operators. There wasn't like a set league. The way you qualified for events seemed very like.
Even when we had Crim6 on the podcast, he even said it himself. Like we're a tier 2 esport. Like even the players kind of feel like, hey, yeah, we were tier 2. You're not anymore, right? You have franchising. I think it instantly bumps you up to tier 1, at least tier 1 expectations.
For sure. No, I would agree. No, Call of Duty is a tier 1 esport. It's like really one of the top ones out there popularity wise. I mean, the game is just massive. Granted, it might be towards Warzone more than MP, but still people are talking and discussing Call of Duty. And so, yes, the franchising definitely puts you into a tier 1 model, and they just need to act a little bit more professional. Criticize the game, criticize the developers, be constructive in your criticism though, because they're not going to pay attention to you. They're going to fine you. And it doesn't really look great. Like I read that stuff and I cringe a little bit at some of the statements. I'm like, oh, okay, he's just salty. Like
Yeah.
he sounds salty right now.
And then when the only other player that like backs you up visually is the other player, Yikes, who just left his team a week before the end of the season, like it doesn't look like you have a whole lot of credibility in your corner when it comes to being like talking to the league about what needs to change. And look, you're not talking about this game. You're talking about the next game and the game after that, right? Modern Warfare has been put to bed. We have one more event with this game. Like, let that sink in. We've talked about this. I mean, it feels like Modern Warfare has been out forever, but at the same time, it also feels like it came out last week because we have one more event with this game, and then it's on to the next one. It's done. So
yeah, it's crazy how fast a year has flown by, and it's kind of sad timing because we have a month off before champs. Counter Strikes and its player break right now. Like esports is gonna feel a little bit like slow in my mind without Call of Duty there. Like it's carried a lot of the weight during COVID in my mind as like a top tier esport because the games have been exciting as a fan. The league has created drama. The players are kind of have a lot of that in general for Call of Duty, which is great. A lot of passion there, and so Call of Duty to me has been good from a viewing experience this year. I get the frustrations on their end, but as a viewer, I feel like the league has been great, like added great drama. So I'm sad it's coming to an end, but damn, am I looking forward to champs, dude. Like I am stoked for that. I think that's going to be a hell of an event. And I think it's going to be really hard to come out pick your winner because it can very easily not be one of the top two teams.
Oh, I mean, 100%. Like if you were making bets ahead of time and everything on a winner, I don't know how confident you feel about any of them. As far as just like, if you want to bet the house on it, like I don't, you're not confident about it.
A lot of people will be playing the field on that one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Cause again, this was the last weekend that I think FaZe or realistically Dallas. Even if Chicago ended up winning or Florida ended up winning, I don't think they would have earned the same respect as if Dallas or FaZe won this weekend, just from where they're at, right? Yeah. But with FaZe or Dallas, had they won, I think they would have been either one the clear favorites. And even ahead of time, last week I said, regardless of what happens this week, Dallas is my number one seed going into champs. I might backtrack on that a little bit. I'm still debating. I don't know if you necessarily have like a solid number one seed. If you have to pick someone, I think you would have to.
I'm taking Atlanta.
You would have to give it to FaZe because I think for the year they're like 5-1 against Dallas. So even
that's
though
crazy.
They've lost to worse teams, like they've lost to a more variety of teams, which is my one argument on why FaZe would be number two. But I mean, come on.
Dallas has more. Like, does Atlanta have 3 or 2? I think they only have 2.
They only have 2. They only have 2. Their overall performance.
Dallas makes a good case for themselves. It's just the head-to-head to me is.
It's tough.
It's tough too hard to pick against head-to-head. Like I would feel like I'm the BCS here if I did not like use the head-to-head matchup and weight it where it deserves to be weighted. So that's why I think I would give Atlanta top seed going in.
Yeah, it's to beat a team. I think I they don't have like a easy way of finding this on the fly, but I think it's like 5-1 for the year against Dallas, which is shockingly bad. That's not what you want hanging over your head. So let's see, when is actual champs? They start on the 19th of August and go through the 30th. We will have a entire champs episode sometime between now and the 19th. So that gives us like 3 weeks.
A couple weeks here. Yeah, we'll probably do it like, a week leading up to it would be my guess. But
yeah, the 19th is a Wednesday, so we'll probably have it on the 12th if I had to imagine. So players and everything scheduled pending because we're going to try to get some players, try to get some coaches, try to get a good show for you for that. So just keep a heads up because that will probably be the next time we talk about COD and champs and getting ready for the end of the end of the journey with Modern Warfare. But either way, hell of a way to end the regular season.
Yeah, this was a fun event, and it was like I said, this particular event felt like the story of the season, right? Atlanta beating Dallas, FaZe losing to a team that they probably shouldn't get eliminated by, Chicago winning early and falling off late. I mean, it's like a whole season wrapped up into one final event. But I'm happy for Toronto. Happy they got
Oh
one
yeah.
under their belt and put themselves in good position. They're a fun group, and
Look, I
obviously,
think that's I think this is what the league loves too, right? You
Yeah.
want parity. Like that's what a dynasty is fun, but I think parity is better for everyone. And so the fact that you have Toronto, a team in now the 7th seed, before this even lower, was able to beat the number 1 spot in the league. Like as a league, I don't think you could want anything else. Like
you
that's
keep your fan
incredible.
bases engaged.
Yep.
You know, everybody's still excited. Everybody feels like they have a chance, and sorry Seattle, but everybody else feels like they have a chance, and it's gonna be fun, dude. It's gonna be really fun.
Yep. Shout out, just looking at end of the season shout outs. Shout out to Minnesota. You were a top 4-5 team for the longest time, and then you took 0 points out of your last 3 events. So that's probably a good segue right into Yikes of the Week, because Minnesota, you suck online. But we'll blame online. We'll give credit to online, I guess.
On land, they were clutching it out. Online, it's been a different story for them.
So there's your first Yikes. We'll call that your first Yikes. So let's get into some Yikes of the Week, Anuj. I'll take the lead, and then we'll go with yours.
Okay.
Because yours is honestly better than mine, in my opinion. But mine, legit, like Yikes of the Week is for moments that when you see a headline, when you see something in esports for that week, makes you go yikes. Mine, legit, when I saw this, I verbally out loud just went yikes. So there's been a update, or about to be a balance update for Overwatch. Now, Overwatch has been known for its goofy balancing and patching and nerfs and buffs for however Blizzard wants to justify it. Well, this one here is for Moira, as they are going to update the way her fade works. Of course, her fade is her shift, where she kind of goes in like a smoke shadowy form, for those who might not know. So during that time, she's invulnerable. She can't get, you can't die, you can't get hit. It gets you out of a lot of ult situations. Gets you out of Zarya's grav bomb. It gets you out of, I believe, Junkrat's trap. It might not get you out of that, but you can at least fade while being trapped, so you're not getting shot while being trapped and everything. It gets you out of a lot of situations. So Blizzard was like, hey, do you know what would be an amazing idea? What if we let her fade affect all of her allies within 6 meters of herself and have them also fade with it? So in a game where people are already complaining and crying for more kills, and that the shields and it's just, it's like it just creates too much chaos when you can't just get a headshot, Blizzard doubled down and said, no, Moira's ability now, instead of just affecting her, will affect any teammate within 6 meters of herself for 1 second, which in Overwatch is like an entire fight.
It's crazy because the way the meta generally works within Overwatch is you can really kind of anticipate when a lot of big moments are about to happen, right? Based on supers being up, positioning, where the team's at. Like, you kind of understand shit's about to go down, right? Like, a fight is about to happen.
Oh, yeah.
So having 1 second of invulnerability can really devastate a push pretty quickly. Like, it can be used offensively or defensively. It can be used in a situation where I feel like it can negate so much of a team's initial like strategy of going in, because like you said, a second is so long. I mean, like, if you time it just right, and I think pro players will be able to do
right,
that
yeah, pros do
really well. It's going to change the way the game is played. Like you will see her as a insta, like, well, now you can't, I don't know. If is the ban veto systems out now? I don't know which one they went back and forth with.
I
Is
don't
there a
know.
veto system
Just
anymore?
wait next week. They'll change it.
So like either way, that's going to be an insta pick. Like Moira will be an
Yeah.
insta pick because of this ability. It's crazy.
Well, it's going to turn into now every fight is going to almost like how it was with Zenyatta, where you had two Zenyatas and you knew they had their ult. It was just fight to bait out the other Zen's ult. This is now going to be into bait out their Moira's fade, and then we can push. But it's almost going to be like a who is chickens out first, right? You're playing chicken now with the other team's Moira, because realistically, if you fade out too soon, well, then you're leaving your team vulnerable, I think, for like that cooldown's like 4 seconds, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I was going to say, like, the difference here is this is like a basic ability for Moira, right? This is not an ultimate that you're baiting out.
It's just a normal
and
cooldown.
Then you got to wait like a minute or two for it to build back up or whatever. You know, like this is now something that can be used very often.
Yeah.
Like you will see this used constantly. You'll see people in the shadow form.
Very little positive feedback for it. So I would almost, well, that's a lie. I will not be shocked when this makes it to the normal game, just because even though games have their test realm, I feel like developers don't actually ever use it for testing. They just kind of throw it in there, and then they'll throw it in the game despite everyone saying it's broken. But yeah, you know, I guess on the positive side is this is going to happen like towards the tail end of the season. So we'll just, you know, we'll be patched out by the time the next season 4 rolls around. So there you have it. There's my yikes of the week. Anuj.
This was too easy for me, Tim. My yikes comes from the world of esports furniture. And Herman Miller partnered up with Logitech recently to come out with a new gaming chair. And for those of you that don't know, Herman Miller is a high-end brand.
It's the Cadillac of chairs.
It is. And they're known for ergonomics and, you know, helping posture and comfort, kind of everything you would want in a chair, ideally, right?
To put it in perspective, my wife, who used to work for an oil company, that's all they used.
Of course. That makes sense. They probably reselling some of those right now to make some money back. So anyways, they recently partnered with Logitech to make a gaming chair to sell to the gaming community, right? And I set my expectations very wrong here, because I thought the goal was to make a gaming chair to promote good health in the community. That's kind of what I've heard everybody saying, right? This is great for your health. This is going to be so beneficial in the long run. This is like going to save you money from doctor's appointments.
Your money's back.
Yeah, this chair is going to change everything for you. So they come out with a chair. Basically, it's one of their custom, like their normal Herman Miller chairs, but fancy looking with Logitech logos on there. $1,500 price tag. And I get it. Herman Miller is expensive. They have chairs that range from $600 to about $1,500 on like the high. You're getting into the high end there, you know. For it to be at the top of their price points, to me, was rather shocking, right? It's not a lounger, so I'm talking really just about the chairs they sell, like computer chairs they sell on their website. They have some very expensive, like lounging chairs and things, but for a gaming chair to cost $1,500 blows my mind. Like you're really targeting 1% now of the gaming market, and maybe that was the plan all along, right? Like this is what they were trying to accomplish all along with this partnership. But to me, that's like, I mean, that's an insane price tag to the community you're targeting. Like that's a computer cost for most people, right?
It's I know, like I saw on Twitter, a lot of people like, oh, I got to get me this. A lot of those were like streamers that just so happened to also be sponsored by Logitech. So let's not include those user reviews there, people. But
yeah, like I saw a bunch of players from orgs that have Logitech partnerships, like super stoked for this chair to come out. I'm like, yeah, and look, you're getting one for free.
I believe that everyone's like, you don't understand, they're comfortable. I get it, but so is putting a pillow behind my back, right? Like and you know, Anuj and I have talked about it. We have these quote unquote gaming chairs that we bought from DreamHack, because if you get like the floor models, they're like 50% off. And overall, they suck, right?
Yeah.
Like overall, the gaming chairs, quote unquote, are definitely overhyped. I would not buy them again for full price.
No.
So maybe a $1,500 chair is what you have to spend to get a chair that you're like, wow, this really does make me feel good. But my argument to you is that if I have to sit in the chair for 10 hours to then justify a $1,500 cost, I'm just going to set a timer like every hour and get up and stretch. Like that's probably more doctor recommended anyways.
I mean, a bigger issue is the way people probably sit in chairs, posture-wise, is not
You mean
great.
as I'm sitting here?
Anyway, I'm doing the same thing.
I'm
My
like
knee is up
slouched
on the
my
chair right now. Like,
side and-
yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, the posture has to be right also for the chair to make sense. Again, my beef is just I really would have loved for them to make a partnership that was like semi-affordable for majority of the community. If you really want to promote it as like, hey, we're doing something to promote good health within the community, this could have been like a $600 chair, and I thought that would have been like an awesome price point. You know, like hey,
Because 600, I could even get it for 600.
It's still on the high end, still expensive. You're not making a cheap chair, but like you're talking about an average gaming chair, right? That dominates the community, right? Like majority of gamers probably have a chair similar to this, right? Even if it's not Maxonomic, it could be an off-brand that you're getting from Walmart, and that's fine. And there's so many companies that make this same style. So this has kind of dominated the group. You still could have been at the high point. Those chairs cost usually around $300 to $400 full price retail. And you came out with a $600 chair. Great, you've doubled it. But
it has cooling gel. It has cooling gel, Anuj.
1,500 though, man. Like it's just disappointing because I would have been a buyer had it been like in my mind a semi-reasonable cost. Now I'm going to be looking on like Craigslist for a Herman Miller and just get it from a company that's selling it because a lot of companies use them. That's probably your best way to go. Again, they're very good chairs. I know that. I'm just disappointed with. I thought they were trying to align the communities a little bit more. Instead, they just made like one of the highest end versions of their computer chairs and threw that in the gaming market. And I just don't feel like that does a lot to promote.
I feel like it's the age-old shtick with gaming where you can just slap an expensive price tag on it, a la Alienware, especially back in the day Alienware. You just make it expensive and gamers will buy it. Like it's kind of how NVIDIA has gotten away with selling their graphics cards for like the last 3 years.
The competition is so low in that area, right? For like a video card, though, right? You're either buying ATI or Radeon, or you're buying NVIDIA. With gaming chairs, there's a million of them out there. So you've put yourself, I feel like, in this category. I would love to see where the price is in a year. Not for this particular chair, but I promise you they probably come out with another one that will actually sell more, because I just don't see a lot of people spending $1,500.
No, like I said, you'll see them a lot on streams, but I can promise you they didn't pay $1,500 for it.
Yeah.
So there's that. But either way, we can dream, Anuj. Until then, I'll just use a lumbar pillow and get up and stretch every once in a while. I can live with it. But then, you know what? That doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter that gaming chair is $1,500, because we have learned that gaming is a waste of time and you shouldn't be gaming anyways. So why even spend $1,500 on a gaming chair? You're being dumb in two categories, on money wise and your time. It has been all over the internet today that, and I don't even know when the show was posted, but Joe Rogan, for those who don't know who Joe Rogan is, I'm sure you've heard of the name. I saw Alchemist tweet this out and I thought it was perfect. He is the Oprah for Dude Bros, which I think is pretty much hitting the nail on the head. Would you not agree?
Yeah, no, he's had a long running podcast.
I'm not making fun. Yeah, like that's a compliment.
Yeah.
If you called me the Oprah of Dude Bros, like that's a compliment.
It's true. I mean, it just signed a $100 million Spotify deal.
Yeah. He has the #1 podcast consistently. He's been UFC commentating, and I mean, stand-up comedy. Everything the guy touches is money. So he's wildly successful. On a recent episode, though, he has talked about gaming and how it's just been a waste of time. So I'll play the audio first, because I do want to just give our thoughts on it. and then we can kind of discuss it from there. So here's Joe Rogan on his show talking about gaming.
And video games are a real problem. They're a real problem. You know why? Because they're fucking fun.
Addictive.
And you don't. Yeah. Well, I have a real problem with them. And you do them, and they're real exciting, but you don't get anywhere.
Right.
It's like you could do like martial arts, right? You could learn jujitsu. You get obsessed by jujitsu, and then 3 years later, you're like an elite jujitsu athlete. You're entering in competitions. You're a purple belt.
You're moving up.
Yeah, you're doing well.
Right.
You're thinking like, I might be able to open my own school one day.
You got confidence.
Yeah, if I have 100 students and those 100 students are paying me X amount of dollars per month, I can make a living. Holy shit, I can have this would be amazing. And then you see your jiu-jitsu school and your jiu-jitsu instructor has all these students and drives a Mercedes and he's got a nice family and like, that's the future. This way you're doing something exciting and fun and you don't. Or you could just be playing fucking video games. 3 years later, you could be that same kid just playing video games, waiting for the next whatever the fuck game is, next Xbox game to come out, and you're going to waste your time.
So obviously, strong comments from Joe Rogan. Obviously, people have had their different opinions on it, which kind of like what his intentions were and everything there. I'll point out the most obvious thing that I think is a joke. No one's waiting on the next Xbox game. I mean, can we be real?
Halo.
That's a PC game. Halo's a PC game. I don't know what you're talking about. Halo is not an Xbox game.
I like where you're headed. You're a glass half full guy. That's good. That's good. Okay, you know what, Tim? First of all, I love Joe Rogan's show.
Yeah.
And this is a terribly bad take for a couple different reasons. Gaming can be looked at as a waste of time. And to an extent, it is, depending on how much you're probably playing, right?
Yeah.
It's also a couple of things. It's an outlet for a lot of people to just relax when they have some free time, to get away and enjoy time with their friends that they couldn't spend with them in person.
Maybe when you have a newborn and the only time you have to...
This is the time we have to hang out with our friends. This is how we hang out, right?
Yep.
And then obviously the number of jobs that gaming has created, not just esports, just the gaming industry as a whole, whether that's people that his example that he uses is somebody that does jiu-jitsu and is really good at it can then go open a jiu-jitsu place and have guests, right? Or have people that are attending, right? His classes and whatnot. Well, the same can be said for a person that plays video games, ends up having a passion for it, and goes and gets a developer job, goes to school to become a developer because he wants to code and make games. And then here he has a job for life because of an interest that he had as a younger kid. Or somebody that's working for an organization on a social media side, somebody that's within esports, somebody that's in commentating. Like the number of jobs that gaming has created, not just what we watch on Twitch, is in probably damn near close to 1 million jobs, if not more. And so his relation seems to be off between what he's calling a waste of time, because the same can be said for watching TV. The same could be said for
reading a book.
Yeah, I mean, it could be said for just so many. They're hobbies. Hobbies can be waste of time,
Right?
But there's something that you enjoy doing.
And
so
we've talked this same thread before, like when Monty threw out bashing cosplaying being a waste of time. We're like, well, no, because if that's what their hobby is, if that's what they do to de-stress, then that's I don't. Here's the thing, and I think Joe Rogan, his intentions were, because he was right to an extent, right? In his example, sure, I guess gaming is a waste of time. If my two choices in life was to only play games by myself and just wait for the new one, or become a karate master and open up a jiu-jitsu school. Like, okay, if those are the two roads I have to go down, I guess I can't argue with you. Yeah, gaming would be a waste of time if my other choice was to make a living, right? But in a normal scenario, I already make a living doing something else, and gaming is my outlet, right? That is the thing that I enjoy. I mean, you almost want to say you enjoy wasting your time with it, right? I don't have to fill in every second of every day. First off, I've known a lot of people who do karate and don't open up their own school and become a master. So
And
does
now they
that
just know how to whoop somebody's ass on the street
so
if
does
they ever
that
get into
now
that.
make karate a waste of time? Right? Like, do you have to become a master at the craft and open up a school or a career doing it for it to not be a waste of time?
Wouldn't youth sports be a waste of time for 99.9% of people then?
Yeah.
Like there's that
Well, and even from his side, like
0.01 that
UFC.
make it professional, but it's a waste of time
Yeah.
for most people. UFC would be the biggest waste of time if you look at it that way, because the ones that don't make it, guess what? They're just getting their ass beat and wasting their time. You know, like not only are they wasting time, but they're getting beat up for doing it, right? No, but they're maybe trying to accomplish something, but not everybody will. And just like in video games, like the number of 13-year-olds that are out there playing because they think they have a chance to go pro, well, they should have that opportunity to play and see if they're any good at the game.
Yeah.
You know, not everybody's going to be. But yeah, I mean, his example was really weird because I just don't think I get to an extent what he's trying to say. It's just it's a bad take ultimately.
Yeah.
Like it's just a bad take.
I think it was said with good intentions. It was just he kind of almost stuck his own foot in his mouth with the other side of the example. You know, and it's like, to your point, I think something that, you know, it was funny. I was just talking to my wife about this the other day where I was like, you know, when I was younger, I don't ever remember someone asking what my interest was and then saying, okay, let's figure out how you can excel in that interest for a career, right? Like at school, I remember counselors always asking, like, hey, what do you want to do? I'm like, bro, I'm 15. I don't know. Play Halo? Like, you're asking a 15-year-old what I want to do for a living? Like, I have no idea. But in reality, looking back on it now as a 30-year-old, okay, I guess my interest was video games. How could I work in video games? It could have been art. It could have been digital directing. It could have been audio engineering, right? It could have been so many other things that you find an interest around because you were, quote unquote, wasting your time playing games. So, you know, it's anything could be a waste of time in a great if you're having a black and white conversation.
Look at like the thousands of YouTubers that are out there making content on just video games.
Yeah.
You know, like I mean it's crazy because again, there's just so many ways that if somebody wanted to, they could find a way to profit off of their hobby. But that's not the point of everybody's hobby. Like
Yeah.
and not everybody's doing something productive all day. Like I could, you know, instead of playing games, I could read a book on how to like day trade really well. You know, and maybe become a day trader, but you're not thinking that way every moment of your life. Like there's releases and outlets for people, and gaming is one of the biggest ones. So, Joe Rogan freaking loves to game.
Yeah.
You know, now
And he's talked about that before.
yeah, recently he stopped. He always talks about Quake. He talks about Quake like nonstop. You know, recently he said he has stopped playing games because he felt like he was getting addicted and was just wanting to play. Like right after the show, he said we would all get out of here and go play in a little LAN room that they made in their studio. You know, and so he's like recently stopped playing, and maybe that's where this take is coming from because he's found out that he can't control like how much he's wanting to play, so he had to go do something else. But yeah, I mean, just a dumb way of putting it because
the opinion has been around since Pong, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like this opinion about video games has been around since Pong, and it's always us, the gamers, who have to point it out to them. I've pointed it out to my wife. I've pointed it out to my parents. I pointed it out to friends. Like, it is no different than you reading a book or watching TV, or it might even be a little better because I'm socializing while doing it. I'm talking to my friends while playing. You know, I'm working my hands and eyes, and I'm keeping active with puzzles, and it is the age-old argument that you're just never going to I've thrown in the towel trying to convince people otherwise. Like I just don't think it's going to ever change.
I bet you it's easier to make six figures gaming some way related to gaming than it would be making six figures being a karate dojo master. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it would just, I feel like it would be a lot easier to be a YouTuber and make 6 figures making cool videos than it would be like becoming a master karate guy.
I always tread lightly, Anuj, when I try to make fun of someone else's hobby or decisions to do in life. When it's just like in Joe Rogan's case, if you want to break it down, it all sounds dumb, right? It's like video games is a waste of time. But do you know what's not a waste of time? Listening to my podcast. So listen to the Joe Rogan podcast every time for an hour and a half or however long it might be. It's like, well, people could argue all the time. Listening to a podcast is a waste of time. Why are you listening to a podcast? Go do your own. Go study a topic instead, right? Like, everything sounds dumb if you break it down. That's my whole argument when people are like, esports is dumb. Why would you want to watch someone do that? I don't know, bro. Football is just a bunch of dudes throwing around a pigskin. Like, it's all dumb. But we find
it's entertainment.
We find entertainment. So I get what Joe Rogan was trying to say. I just don't think he
wouldn't agree with it either way. In that
he missed
sense.
the mark.
Yeah,
he missed the mark. That's really what it was. So there's that. I just hope he can really recover from all this hate. Right?
He'll be okay.
Hopefully he can get through with it.
Bring Ben Shapiro on next episode. Everyone will forget about the previous.
Hopefully Spotify doesn't cancel his show. Oh boy. Let's get into some e-news. Holy crap, we have Counter-Strike coming, thank God. With Cologne, quote unquote Cologne, coming up with the regional divisions August 18th through the 30th. The teams have been announced for the most part, pretty much what everyone would expect, right?
Which division are you most excited to watch?
I'm gonna go Asia. I think the Asian division is I mean obviously Europe is the biggest one, so I guess why is
it's like not even close. It's like
why is
Europe,
MIBR in Europe? Are they over there now? Is MIBR in Europe?
Oh, MIBR, yeah, they're in this. Yes, actually, that should have been a top. That could be a discussion almost. But yeah, they're playing in the European League for this event.
Okay. All right. Then yeah, I got Europe has the more talking points, obviously.
Oh, and they have doubled the teams, which is crazy. Double the teams to North America. North America has double the teams compared to Asia and Oceania. So, like, it's at least we'll be getting what will feel like a full tournament on the European side with the number of teams they have.
Yeah. So we'll discuss that sometime here in the near future, since we'll have enough time to do it with champs taking a break. In COD, Yikes, formerly of LA Gorillas, announced that he is joining a challengers team. He's teaming up with Spacely, who automatically qualify for the Challenger Series finals because of the amount of pro points they have. So there's that for you.
Pretty crazy. I mean, that could be a pretty good combo. Well, that team is full of veterans. So
yeah. And again, you gotta remember with the Challengers Cup, it's a $250,000 prize pool, but I believe it trickles all the way down. Like, it's like 24th place even gets something from that prize pool.
He's gonna make more in Challengers than he will from champs. That was like this is a 200 IQ play by Yikes, because you were gonna get one of the last 2 slots in champs. This way, you'll be walking out with something. Even if it's $50, you're gonna make more than the Gorillas will be making from champs. So
we'll talk about it, but man, being one of those last 2 places in champs, you're gonna have to feel like awful.
When they ask us like who we want to interview, I'm gonna ask for one of the players from one of those 2 teams.
What's it feel like that all of your other colleagues got paid and you didn't? What's that feel like? All of them got a bonus, but you.
It's gonna be a brutal feeling. Brutal feeling.
It's gonna make the CDL Christmas party very awkward.
It's gonna be like one of those work pools where everybody put in for a lottery ticket and you're like the one guy that didn't. Like, that's what it's gonna feel like.
That's exactly, that's a perfect way of summing it up. That is exactly what it's gonna feel like. In Valorant, FaZe ended up signing Zachary. Zachary's been playing with them for a while now, so this seemed like a pretty obvious move on their part. But
it's gonna be like Team Overwatch League.
What's that?
It's gonna be like Team Overwatch League. They got Corey, they got Zachary. I know they have Jason R also from CS, but Two
So there you
Overwatch
go.
pros on the team. That's
Zachary,
pretty
a
cool.
former Dallas Fuel, friend of the show, been on the show before. So maybe we can get him on again, talk about his phase signing, but good for him. You had the PAX Arena tournament this weekend. T1 ended up getting bounced by an orgless roster. Now, this was blown up on Twitter that way, but you told me pump the brakes.
They were made up of like professional players in the
Okay.
sense of, you know, Def, CSGO professional, Psalm. I think he got second in the Fortnite World
Yeah.
Cup, but he's also playing competitive FPSs, you know, for a long time prior to that. Laxi. So they had like a handful of guys that are more than competent, like they're well above average. So it's not like it was just some open team that made it in and
Yeah.
beat them. They got beat by some talented players.
Sentinels ended up defeating Cloud9 in the finals of said PAX Arena. So that was actually a pretty, you know, we've talked about it a lot on the show with Valorant and how we're just kind of holding our excitement for the pro scene, just with it only being like NA at the moment, and you don't have that, you know, not everyone is involved yet. But I
Now they are. It's just we just don't have like a.
It's still
There's
not
no
a
structure right now.
Right. But this I
Yeah.
thought was good. I mean, if you wanted to go back and watch what has been what I think the closest to like a real tournament, right? Not just some orgs invitational with a bunch of no names. This I felt like would satisfy that. I ended up watching them. So
The Ignition series has been
good.
pretty decent as a whole. You know,
Yeah.
like even the EU one that they did, I thought was pretty good. It's been the most competitive for sure.
Yeah. So it's been good. It's also been announced that Free For All Deathmatch will be coming to Valorant. Prayers have been answered.
Look, I'm so happy. I'm like, it's such a small thing, and I'm so happy about it because guess what? I don't always have time to jump into a game, but I
No.
would love to like keep my skills somewhat like honed in, you know. And what a better way to do that than deathmatch? Like it's exactly what the game needs. So
Yeah.
that's a great addition.
And it's been heavily wanted by a lot. So that's good to see. They're either listening or they're just smart enough to have been working on this before everyone requested it anyway. So either
Yeah.
way, good on Riot. And in other news, Anuj, it's back. I don't think a lot of our listeners will even know what this is, depending on their age, but G4 TV tweeted for the first time in ages a little teaser video that they are coming back. I would assume as a streaming service, but maybe as a TV channel. It would seem weird if they came back to cable, but maybe.
Yeah, like the coming back is I was thinking as like a streaming channel.
That's what I would assume.
Yeah, but I don't.
What
It's
if
great.
they come back as a site?
Like,
And that's where Dr. Disrespect and all them are going.
it's nice. Like it's nice to have a familiar name like
Yeah.
back in, and it was, you know, I mean it's cool. I would love. I'm waiting to see more. You made a funny statement to me. Like I'm surprised they remembered their like password to get into that Twitter account. You know, like it's been a long time. So cool. Like more competition, the better.
And I mean,
Love
they're
to see
just
what
the
they're
OGs.
gonna bring to the table.
You know, for those who don't know, they were on Tech TV, and they were the first like 24/7 video game centric channel on cable. Obviously, it
Yeah.
failed, but
It was always cool to watch that, like kind of even like before like really I got hardcore into watching YouTube and
Yeah.
learned what YouTube was. Like that was something that you would go to after like big shows happened, you know, like all the announcement shows that you see
Yeah.
throughout the year. You would go watch that and you would kind of get these like just discussion topics
the
all
E3
day on it.
coverage
And, it was
and
awesome.
everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's more,
Yeah,
they
there's,
were
like,
like
so many,
the
you know?
original video game content channel, I would
Yeah.
say. So it's cool to see them coming back, and you know, hey, they were ahead of their time back then, and they're getting in right at the good time now. So good to see G4 TV come back. So love, like you said, kind of curious to see it and to what extent, but hey, excited nonetheless. That will do it though for this episode of The Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast. That was episode 257, so appreciate you listening, whether you skipped around or listened to the whole thing. Love you all the same. We will be back Wednesday night for Thursday's episode, talk, I think, a little bit of Overwatch League, and whatever else comes up. You never know in the world of esports what will happen. So we'll discuss that next Wednesday for Thursday's show. So tune in live on Twitch if you're into it. Our Twitter at the Center Ring. Also our Discord in the description of said Twitter account. We got champs coming up. Again, we have that scheduled. Got some player interviews in the basket for you on that one, so that would be a good time.
Not too far away. So we got some fun. August will be a good month for esports.
Ramp back up. We'll ramp back up. But that does it again for us. So appreciate everyone for listening. Love you. For Anuj, I'm Tim. We'll see ya. Perfect.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I forgot to mention in the show, I got bit by the Halo bug.
You got back on?
I mean, I'm playing the single player, but I've been watching.
One?
Just Reach. I haven't even beaten that since it came out, so I'm just going through. I'm gonna play them chronological just for the sake of it, but I've been watching like Ogre 2 and everything on Twitch. Ogre 2 and Walshy and all them. It's kind of cool because they're playing like with all the old pros, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just cool to kind of see that.
I'm really kind of like just waiting for something to come out. You know, like I feel like I'm playing games.
I mean,
to Joe Rogan's point, just to waste time.
Yeah.
Recently, I've been playing Diablo a little bit more, and that's been
that's what I mean.
Good. It's been fun, but like I'm also like now I'm doing really high level rifts at this point, so it's really just become a min-max game at this point, and I'm waiting for like very particular upgrades.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, and there's no PvP, there's no market. Like Diablo 3 actually sucks in my mind.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a very
comparing
low.
It to 2, it's like just so basic.
Diablo 3 is a very low content game.
Like it's just super repetitive. There's really not like a lot to the game. I installed Destiny because of you, but I haven't really like mustered the energy to jump back in fully and commit yet. But I think installing it was like a very big first step.
But again, that's another one where it's just like, okay, we're going back to play another game that we've played for 40 million
I've been playing. I did a 15 today again, and like I'm just kind of doing my weekly things, but very minimal.
So I've lost steam on that for a little bit.
And I'm just waiting for the expansion there. But again, that's another 20-year-old fucking game. I'm just like sitting here like, man, somebody give me Summit and Shroud. This was kind of cool. It's something I wish we could like just do one-off shows on some of this stuff, like just talk gaming, because it's like that sometimes that's just fun, And they did an interview with the owner of Ashes of Creation, which is a new MMO that's supposed to maybe launch like next year, but it's been in development for 5 years. And I got into the alpha for their battle royale game that they made to test combat. Like they made a standalone BR game with players and abilities, but it was purely just to test like combat functionality, which I thought was kind of a cool way to do it. What better way to test people fighting than throw them in a fucking arena. But that was really interesting to see because that game looks fucking massive. If you get time, watch Lazy Peon's video or Summit.
What game is it called?
So type in Ashes of Creation. Look up Summit's reaction video to Lazy Peon, or type in Summit Ashes of Creation. And you can it's nice to kind of sit there with Summit and just listen to him talk about it because he's got a big MMO background himself. Right. And then him and Shroud 5-6 days ago did an interview.
Oh, I saw people play the BR for this.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Lazy Peon video, the one that Scandalous talked about, there's really good. It's Summit watches that video and talks along with it. Like kind of giving.
So I saw Shroud doing the BR for this one, and I thought the BR looked cool.
But I have it. I just haven't. I played it when it first came out, but I was like, I kind of just want to wait for the MMO to actually release. The game looks super interesting though. If they can live up to what they're trying to accomplish, which is always the big if
That's
with
just
MMOs.
MMOs. Yeah, that's the.
My favorite part is the game director is like a rich dude that retired at 29, or the game owner is like a rich dude that retired at like 29 years old, and he loved playing MMOs on his free time. And he was a big Arcade player and saw the potential in that game. Which, if anyone that's played Arcade knows that game really had something special about it, but fucking was horrendous on like the PVE side and really bad with the cash shop side. Uh, so the game went to shit, but the general mechanics of that game were awesome. And so he came from just being a fan and got funding for the game and then did crowdfunding on. So he secured funding to make the game and then opened up a like not a GoFundMe. What's that shit called?
Kickstarter.
Kickstarter, and got like 30 million more on Kickstarter for the game. And so that's to add like additional features and whatnot. But it looks really promising. So something to keep an eye on. I hope we get that beginning of next year at some point. That would be awesome.
So MMOs that I'm still looking forward to is City of Titans, which will never come out.
Yeah,
I
that
got
doesn't
hope.
seem to have anywhere near a release date.
No.
So
That's
a bad one to be wishing for.
No, I know. I think it's been about 2 Christmases that I've been waiting for the beta, so I don't think it's coming out. But I loved Cities of Heroes.
You know, I
Loved it.
never played Cities of Heroes.
Oh my god. You want to talk about... So, like, I played WoW back in the day, but I fucking played. I mean, I knew everything in Cities of Heroes. I was part of a big clan or super group and loved Cities of Heroes. But, and then NCSoft just fucked that whole community up. Just like they fuck everything up.
Everything that NCSoft touches is... I will never play an NCSoft game.
No. Nope.
Even if you enjoy it, it's going to be ruined.
Yeah. So after I had Cities of Heroes, which had an active, like, I remember when they closed the servers down, people did like reports on them, and they were like, they were making profit. Like they had a large enough player base to where they were making profit. They legit just didn't want to work on the game anymore. So rather than just keep the servers up, they said, fuck it, we're done.
Just shut it down.
And just shut it down. So I have Guild Wars 2, and I played that a shit ton.
You know, I was never a Guild Wars fan. I tried both.
Really?
And tried Guild Wars 2. I played Guild Wars 2 for a while, and I just always made me want to go back and play WoW for whatever reason.
I liked, there's a lot of things that they did right in Guild Wars 2. Like the fact that you'd never really had to be in a party, you know?
Yeah.
They did that really well. The world bosses and things like that, I felt like they did really well. But there's always something.
MMOs have just been a failure for the last 10 years, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's really been a long time since a good MMO has come
Well,
out.
and that's the issue with Guild Wars 2 is like once you beat that main storyline, you really was like, okay, like the end game really isn't there for it.
And that's like the most important part for an MMO because that's 95% of what you play.
Yeah.
Is end game.
And that's what WoW has mastered is the end game.
I hope Ashes of Creation does a good job with, like, even their dungeon system sounds really cool. Like, they progressively get harder the further you go into them.
Yeah.
So it's not like, hey, this is a level 45 dungeon. Like, you go in, you can try and clear as much as you can, like world bosses, node systems, world PvP. World PvP, you can also loot stuff off people if they have, like, a...
oh, that's cool.
Like they're kind of a pirate in the sense they're killing a bunch of lobies.
Right.
They get like a corrupted status, and if you kill them, you can loot gear off of them and money off of them.
You know what other high res? That's another one that I'm like very questionable. Like if I'm buying a game and I see high res, I immediately pump the brakes.
There's a couple of MMOs I'll never play. A Korean MMO. I will never play a Korean MMO. It's always a cash shop shit show.
And we used to play them all the time.
All the time. We always would give them a chance until I realized, like, oh, this is just like what they do.
Was it Ragnarok?
Yeah.
I played Ragnarok.
Yeah. Played Aeon for a while.
Yep.
Man, Arcade though. Arcade before the cash shop became like a big deal in that was the best fucking game. That really was like an awesome MMO. Kamara and I even tried to get back into it not too long ago when they did a fresh start server, but it's just all sorts of fuck now. It's just not the same.
Yeah. No, I can't. The MMOs that we were really, we played all of them back in the day.
Yeah.
Age of Conan, the Conan MMO. We played that for like a week, and then we were like, this sucks.
I played the
Warhammer.
beta or alpha or beta for New World, the Amazon one.
Yeah.
I can see why they keep delaying that game. That one just needs to be, just like I said with that other Amazon game that came out that ended up going back into beta,
Yeah.
whatever the hell that was called. Guarantee you this one is a absolute failure. Like it's a no go from day one for me.
My Cassie, our friend Cassie, you know, she's like super excited for that Amazon one, and I keep telling her, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, just enjoy it while you can because that game won't last long.
Yeah, definitely. So
the only thing I'm going to do different this time when I'm playing Ashes of Creation is I'm not joining the streamer server. I did that for the WoW one, and that's how we ended up meeting like Esfond and all those guys.
yeah, for Classic, for WoW Classic.
Yeah, for Classic. Not doing that in any other MMO again.
Too much, or I never really played Classic.
Few times are horrendous.
Oh.
Like you just don't get to play. And now with the child, there's no way.
Yeah.
And like even the guy, the owner of Ashes of Creation in the Shroud and Summit interview was like the server capacities are going to be between 8 and 10,000, but we're going to allow up to 50,000 accounts to be made on a server.
Oh God.
And he goes, we're not opening up more servers. So people were telling people that ahead of time that, yeah, you can go join like the most popular server, but we're not going to just mass create servers to fit the population. And then when people stop playing a lot, you get like the split areas.
Well, it's like WoW. It's like how some servers are just dead because
they've had to merge so many servers now. Yeah. WoW has like 10 servers in one grouping now, you know?
Yeah.
So I will not be joining a streamer server for sure. I'll find the one that takes popularity because it's anti-streamer.
I can't even tell you a game I'm like excited for other than like Halo Infinite, just from what it is. I can't tell you the next game I'm excited for.
Yeah, there's really nothing that's like I think Cyberpunk will be cool. Cyberpunk will probably be like a big one. I don't really know. Star Wars Squadrons.
That one looks cool.
Like
that one looks cool.
What else is coming out?
That's the thing though with me, it's like I really feel like my PC can't play like the Star Wars game, you know, at like the level that it should be played at. I'm just thinking I won't be able to play it.
I think it'll be fine. EA game.
Yeah.
They'll have settings available for
They're pretty good about it, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that because they've said, did you see it's only FPS? Like they are not.
You can't do third.
They are not letting you go third person. They're like, no, the shit is.
That's pretty cool. That'll be fun. Like again, that'll be fun. That's not going to be a game that I'm playing for like a year, you know. But it'll be a fun game to play.
I hope it's a game that's popular enough to where like there's always some type of player base, because that would be a fun one to be like almost like a Sea of Thieves, right? Where it's just like, hey, you want to just go fly a ship and shoot things? Like
Sea of Thieves might be. I thought in my mind when you said it that it would be a bad game to play with the time limitation we have now, but there's also so much like bullshit time in there.
Yeah,
that it's like, oh, I need to go handle something. I'll be back in 10 minutes, and you'll still be driving the boat to the spot.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that won't be bad.
If Blizzard would fucking just release Diablo 4, I don't think now because of the timing. I don't think we get Diablo 4 until the end of 2021, just early 2022. Why would they release Diablo 4 at the same time they're releasing a WoW expansion?
Yeah,
makes no sense.
Well, and then you have Overwatch 2 and
Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4, though, they could release close to each other and it wouldn't kill player bases either way.
I don't
World
think
of
so.
Warcraft and Diablo, both are very grindy type games that it's not like an FPS, you know?
Yeah.
At least we're getting WoW in a few months. It's always something new.
Yep.
That
Alright.
Marvel's Avengers game looks fun.
Yeah. Yep. I'm gonna kill the
Matches
stream.
out.
Just so we can start editing stuff.
Yep.
Fellows, ladies and gentlemen in the chat, thank you so much for listening. Thanks for stopping by. Canada, if you're still here, Busey, still here, love you. We'll talk to you boys later.
See you guys.